So we're in Millbrook, New York, looking at this building that's over 240 years old. But its story, well, it feels surprisingly modern. This is the Nine Partners Meeting House, and it was built on a really radical idea.
Okay, just think about the timing here for a second. This isn't some small shack they were throwing together. This is a large, impressive brick structure, and they built it right in the middle of the Revolutionary War. I mean, that's a huge investment of time and resources while a nation was literally being born in conflict.
And that brings us to the thing that probably jumped out at you right away, the big mystery of this building. Just look at it. Two perfectly symmetrical, identical front doors. Now that's not some kind of accident, it's a statement. And the reason for it, well, it tells us everything we need to know about the people who built this place.
So yeah, this was a building born right out of conflict. But to really get what's going on with its unique design, you can't look at typical architecture. Nope. You have to look at a pretty radical philosophy.
And that philosophy? It came from the Quakers, also known as the Society of Friends. You see, their core beliefs created this unique design problem that really demanded an entirely new kind of building.
Okay, so it all starts with this one big idea, the inner light. Quakers believe that there's a divine spark, a piece of God inside every single person. And if that's true, well, then you don't really need priests or elaborate rituals or a big church hierarchy to connect with God, do you?
And when you put that next to traditional churches, the contrast is, wow, it's stark. You know, traditional churches were all about a priest up front, a formal hierarchy. But Quaker meetings, they were built on these core ideas of equality, simplicity, and community. Everybody was on the same level, and that had a huge impact on how they designed their buildings.
So this belief they had in spiritual equality, it led them to an architectural solution that was, for its time, just completely groundbreaking. It was literally their social principles made physical, built right into the walls.
And let's be really clear about this. This was a radical break from the past. I mean, before this, men's and women's meeting spaces were almost always separate and unequal. This building, right here in the Hudson Valley, was one of the very first to unify them in this kind of balanced, symmetrical way.
So how'd they pull it off? It's actually pretty brilliant. The building is divided into two perfectly equal rooms, one for men, one for women. Each side got its own entrance. And there are two front doors. And in the center, they put this clever partition that could be lowered for separate business meetings or raised up for joint worship. Simple, but revolutionary.
And this quote really just nails it. The building's design wasn't just for looks. It was a loud and clear declaration that in their faith, men and women were equal partners in everything, both spiritual and administrative.
But, a building designed for equality is just bricks and mortar without the community that actually lives by those principles. And the story of that community, well, it lives on, right here in the stones of the burial ground next door.
Get this. More than 2,700 people are buried here. It's like this quiet library of lives. And among them, you'll find philanthropists, reformers, artists, and yeah, a few real surprises.
So for example, there's Sally Gifford. She was this gifted artist and philanthropist, came from a wealthy family, but she was famous around town for her eccentric style. I'm talking orange sneakers, a red top, a crazy hat, and she bought it all from the church rummage sale. What a character.
And then there's a guy named Frank Norris. He was a nationally known author, but his most famous legacy, it might just be an idea he pitched one day. Hey, why don't we use a bear to advertise forest fire prevention? He didn't actually draw Smokey, but he was the spark for the whole concept. And then you had these absolute giants of the community, like the Thorne family. I mean, their contributions literally shaped the town of Millbrook. They donated the land for parks and schools, they built a new firehouse, and then, just to top it off, they bought the town a new fire truck to put inside it. But the story takes one more really unexpected turn, because resting here among all these historic figures is a real, bona fide rock and roll legend.
Yeah, you heard that right. Ric Ocasek, the iconic frontman for the Cars. His grave is very modern, very minimalist, and it's actually become a destination for fans. They come and leave little tokens, connecting this historic old place to a whole new generation.
So what does all this show us? It's just this incredible diversity of the community that grew from the principles of that one building. It's a real cross-section of American life, a story of faith, social progress, community building, and yeah, even rock and roll. And that really leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? In a world that is still grappling with questions of fairness and equality, What can we learn from a simple brick building? A building whose very design was a declaration of those principles, more than 2 centuries ago.